I'm really happy to be here with you today, and as she said, it was really, really challenging, and at some point I was like, okay, I'm going to a conference to talk about investigating environmental issues, and at the end we have an environmental challenge because at the end of the process, my flight has to be cancelled twice. The first one because I didn't have a visa to cross by Paris, and the second one because of weather condition. They had to cancel the flight, and then we had to take another flight the other day. So it was really, really challenging, but I'm happy I finally made it, and I'm here with you today. Today we are going to discuss or to share experience in covering environmental issues, environmental governance in the Congo Basin rainforest. And I think it's almost the same challenges we have in the main three rainforest region of the world, which are the Amazon, the Congo Basin, and the Southeast Asia. So the title of my presentation is today is focusing on Wood for Tree, how we use data journalism to discuss or to share what are the most important issues in these Congo Basin rainforest countries. So my name is Madeleine Gunga. I'm based in Cameroon, in Douala. It's true that sometimes I'm in Yaoundé too. I work for Info Congo. I'm also Rainforest Investigation Network. It's a new initiative for the, launched by the Poliza Center last year to cover or to investigate, to have cross-border investigation in the three main rainforests of the world. And Info Congo is a geojournalism platform covering Cameroon, DRC, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Republic of Congo, and Democratic Republic of Congo. So we cover three countries, and we basically use geojournalism tools and field trip investigation to conduct our investigative reports. I would like to focus today on one case study we have published last year, concerning an agro-industrial plantation in the Congo Basin rainforest, which is really putting communities, real life, and environment in danger. So it would be one case study, and I will share how we collect the data, how we analyze this data, which tools do we use, and at the end of the process, some findings we got from this investigation. So in the Congo Basin rainforest, we have a lot of problems which are interconnected. The Congo Basin is the second largest forest of the world after the Amazon. And in that forest, you have illegal logging activities. You also have wildlife trafficking because we have a lot of endangered species like elephant, gorilla, which are in our rainforest region. We also have land grabbing. In the Congo Basin rainforest, you will find one of the remaining indigenous communities. You have Baka communities, you have Bagieli communities in Cameroon, for example, and in Gabon and DRC, you have other indigenous communities who are the one considered as the protector of this rainforest. We all depend on today for our life. You also have illegal mining activity. This is this is another new trend, forests being destroyed for mining activities, and you have a lot of impacts on communities and wildlife species. Okay, the case study is about Camvert. So the story has been published recently. Camvert is a new agro-industrial plantation. It's in Cameroon, in the south region of the country, not far from the Atlantic Ocean, in the area called Campo. In that area, you have a national park, we have indigenous communities territory, and we also have these endangered species like gorilla, elephant, and so on. So it's a really important area to protect for our environment. So the company decides to have their agro-industrial plantation. It's a palm oil plantation. So they will destroy or they will clear a large portion of forest to have their palm tree plantation. And they were looking for 16,000 hectares of forest. And they just started in 2020 in time when coronavirus also started. So it was not easy for NGOs and other organizations to track what was going on field. And we found during our investigation that there were many companies connected to one. In Cameroon, normally, if you are doing logging activities, you cannot do at the same time agricultural activity in the same portion of forest. So either you are a logging company or you are an agro-industrial company. You cannot do the same activity in the same time. But in this case, you have a company who used to be a logging company, a big logging company called SIB. You also have, which is connected to the new agro-industrial company called Camvet, and which is also connected to the company who got the authorization to clear wood before the implementation or the arrival of the new palm oil plantation. So 3 in 1. All are connected, and this is what we found in our story with this profile of Camvet that you can see. You can see that Mamadou Moutada used to work for Camvet, Sextrans Bois, and Boiscam. Camvet and Sextrans Bois are the company who got the authorization from the government to clear the forest before the arrival of agro-industrial plantation. And Camvet is a new agro-industrial plantation. So it's like someone having his business and taking the authorization to do everything at the same time, and to clear forests, to put palm oil plantation and everything. And you also have Abubakar Al-Fati, who is the CEO of Camvet. And during the investigation, we found out he also worked for Boiscam, which is a company linked to Sextrans Bois, and he also worked for SIB. SIB is the first company who used to do logging activity at the industrial scale. So they are all connected to the new company who is coming to take the forest and clear the land. So I used to do logging activity at the industrial scale. Now I want to turn from the industrial, I've cleared the forest, so I've destroyed all the main species of tree. I think that the forest can no more produce a lot for my logging activity. I want to change it to go to agro-industrial plantation, and I have another company called Camvet. And at the same time, I want to remove the remaining woods on the forest. I have another company called Sextrans Bois and Boiscam, and all these are my business. So this is what we found during the investigation. But this is not the most difficult parts of the story, or the most important findings we got. Before the findings, I will just explain how we collect the data, where do we find the data related to this investigation. We explore many type of platform. We got a lot of data sets. For example, Cameroon Forest Atlas is an online platform supported by the World Resource Institute and the Cameroonian Ministry of Forest. They produce data about land management, forest use, and so on. So we went on their website and tried to download a data set concerning forest governance issue, forest management plan. We also got data from the Campoman National Management Plan Reserve. Campoman National Park is a national park in Cameroon, which has a lot of endangered species like elephant and gorilla, for example. So they have a management plan showing how they used to manage that park and where we can find endangered species that are really like elephant. We also found data on Global Forest Watch. Maybe some of you may know Global Forest Watch, which has data on tree cover loss. We usually publish tree cover loss data, also information about forest management units in different countries, in different rainforest countries. We also look for scientist research, and then we combine this with our field trip investigation, because we went on field to have an interview with communities living around the Campoman National Reserve and around the area, which is to be transformed or to be converted now in agro-industrial plantation. So having doing this methodology, we found that we visited 4 of 7 indigenous community villages in that area, and we found that communities were already impacted by the arrival of the new agro-industrial plantation. At that time, about 2,500 of forests had already been cleared for the arrival of the company, and the company started the activity in elephant habitat, not far from the elephant habitat area. You will see here the portion of forest that have been cleared. So this is where the company started its activity. And 11 kilometers from that area, you have the village, one indigenous community village called Nazareth. And in that indigenous village communities, you have people, you can see elephant damages. You have community who complain about how the elephant is destroying their plantation. So they are now really suffering because the elephants do not know how to move again in the park. They used to have forests around in the area. Now the forests have been cleared, and they are just running, going everywhere and destroying communities' plantation. So they are really confused in that area because of the clearing of forests for the arrival of the new agro-industrial plantation called Camp Vert. Also, we try to use, to compare data from one period to another period, we use planet imagery, satellite data, to see what has changed in the portion of forest that have been converted to agro-industrial plantation and clear. So we found that by December 2021, more than half of the forest plots had been cleared for the creation of Camp Vert palm oil plantation. But in 2019, you can see the forest was still dense. There were a lot of forests. This is the same area. And now, in 2021, in December, when we analyze planet images, we saw that we have this result. This is the portion of forest converted to agro-industrial plantation for the use of Camp Vert. We also found that there were a lot of disturbance in the forest area due to the arrival of this company. You have here 3 images, 3 satellite images, one in 2019, the second one in 2020, and the third one in 2021. In 2019, like the first slide show, forest was still, there was no disturbance in the forest. So community living in that place had their forest. Elephant used to to move in that forest and eat what they need to eat. But in 2020, in December, you know that in 2020 we had COVID-19 from March, starting in February, really starting in countries like Cameroon in February, and in March government stopped everything. People were not allowed to have meetings, to travel, to go to community to do monitoring activities. So the company started clearing the forest in June and got some authorization to do it in March when nothing was possible as in terms of monitoring activities by the NGOs. So like about 9 months later, in December 2020, in the B satellite images data, you can see the clear forest. So we have a significant tree cover loss in that area, and this occurred three months after Camver plants its first palm oil plants, because the company started clearing in June, like few months after the beginning of COVID-19, and in September they started putting their plants, their palm oil plants, to show to NGOs that, or to journalists or to community that we are here to do our plantation. And you can see a big difference between the second image, the B image, and the image C. In image C, we are here in December 2021. We have palm oil plantation. So we have an emergence of well-marked palm oil plantation plots. So these are palm oil plantations. So we are coming from 2019 to 2021. We see that forests have been replaced by palm oil plantation. What is really complicated in this case is that normally in Cameroon, you should have what we call, you should have an authorization from the President of the Republic to have an agro-industrial plantation, or to have a large portion of forest to do an agro-industrial activity. But in this case, the company did not have that authorization at that time. So in 2020, 2021, they didn't have authorization to do this kind of activities from the President of the Republic. And they were claiming that palm oil plantation is a forest plantation, so that it's a forest area, so it's not different. It will give a lot of advantages to the community having a plantation. It will develop the area, and it will help the community have a lot of food for their living condition. So they were like doing something, lying to media, lying to communities, and using their connection with government authorities to have small authorization to clear the forest slowly without any possibility of monitoring. So like I said, we did field trip investigation. For this investigation, one of the challenge was going in that area, because few months after the arrival of the company, they put, they have checkpoints at the entrance of the plantation. They were looking for 16,000 hectares of forest to put their palm oil plantation. They did not have the authorization to use the whole area. They had just 2.5 thousand hectares of forest. They got some authorization from one ministry, not the President of the Republic, but they came and clear all and mark all the area and put their checkpoint. So now to enter that community, you need to cross their barrier. And after the Campoman area is the sea, Ocean Atlantic, and the border with Equatorial Guinea Republic. So if you enter the area, you cannot enter the area using another road. You should cross the barrier of that company before entering in that area to investigate. So we had to be really careful to know how to proceed because there were security issues. We look for fixers to help us to go into the area. We also partner with some local NGOs to know where was the indigenous communities' territories, how to get in touch with these communities and how to make the investigation. So it was a really challenging situation. Another challenge also regarding the security issues and how to collect the information about this investigation was getting in touch with government authorities. In that area, government authorities are like working with the company. So they are supporting the project and they cannot be really open to share information about it. So to have even the portion of the area that has been given to the company, the small portion that has been given to the company, it was really difficult because that data was not published online. So we had to use our connection to get the shapefile of that area and do the analysis. So what I will also share is in terms of, let's say, what next or what's happening after the publication of the story. We publish the story, and I would not say we have like a lot of impact for now because the company is continuing its activities, but they were looking for 16,000 hectares. Recently, after the publication of the story, government gave them, so the President of the Republic gave them something to like, because you have first an authorization to use, to exploit or to, yes, I can say to use the area or to try to use the area for 3 years before the real authorization. So recently government reduced from 16,000 hectares the company were looking for to like 20 hectares of forest. So they are no more like aspiring or having 16,000 hectares, or they can no more say we have 16,000 hectares like they used to say, but they have now like 20,000 hectares. But at the same time, government give authorization to other companies to clear the remaining portion of forest. So what is, like, we can say what is different or what is new is that in 2020, when the government gave some little authorization to Sextrans Bois to clear the area, it was clear that Sextrans was connected to Camp Verde. But now they tried to distract and they gave the authorization to many other companies to continue the clearing processes of the forest before Camp Verde continue its activity. So it's like when revealing in the story that Camp Verde was connected to the other company, they tried to change now and put a different company who will have the authorization to clear the forest before the Camp Verde extract or Camp Verde use a large portion of forest for his plantation. So this is how this is the story, this is the case study I wanted to share with you on how we investigate this difficult, this challenging situation in one of the remaining rainforests of the world, which is the Congo Basin rainforest. I will be happy to answer the questions, to share your feedbacks, to have your inputs about the presentation. Thank you very much. Okay, the impact of the investigation it is the last point I'd end with. For now, we cannot say, okay, because of our investigation, government remove, things changed radically in the area. But I think one of the impact is that NGO, before our investigation, there were a lot of journalists who published reports about the Camvet case study. NGOs were also monitoring the arrival of the company and all the illegal activity going on field. But it was difficult for all the actors to have accurate data, to have findings like we did in the story. We have a lot of readers, a lot of authority, government also, who came, who shared their feedback with us and said that, okay, this is really in-depth story. We have a lot of information, a lot of data in the story, and some NGO even said that they will use the story for their activities, also for their pledges, to tell to government, okay, we used to say this, but this is what is happening on the ground. So they will use the story. So we hope that maybe in the upcoming years or months, we'll have more impact, because for now we have just reaction from people, and we also have the government would change from 16,000 hectares, because the company was claiming that we are Camvet, we have 16,000 of forest for our palm oil plantation. It's a new project, it's a big project that will develop the country, but now they cannot claim they have 16,000 hectares, because recently government gave them 20,000 hectares, which is really, which is not the amount they were looking for. And I think our investigation and how communities complain that they will not have a lot of space for their daily life has helped government to reduce the size of forest the company was looking for. Thank you. Thank you for the good question. From our investigation, we know that Camvet has some connection with the Asian continent, so it can be China. For now, it's like they have Chinese partners, but it's really, really complicated to find out who are the partners, financial partners of Camvet. They are claiming that it's a national project run by Cameroonian citizens, so Cameroonians should support the project, but from what some little information we have, they have Chinese partners who are supporting them. And even the logging company they also own, is connected to Chinese company, to Vietnamese company also, because they sell wood to Vietnamese company, and it goes to other countries we know. Thank you. In terms of data analysis, we use Global Forest Watch data. So we download Global Forest Watch data for like a whole period, like 2 or 3 years. We download this data. We also use GPS coordinate from our field trip investigation, because we went on field with equipment that can capture GPS. If a community member say that this is elephant damages in my area, we snap the picture and we get also take the coordinates of the area. We use, in Global Forest Watch, we use also RAD image, so which is really precise, which can show you, because in normal interface, it was difficult to have real-time deforestation in this small area. So we have to use RAD data still in Global Forest Watch to see what was happening in the small area of the places. In terms of tools, we work with our GIS specialist. We use QGIS to analyze satellite images data and all these type of data. So these are the main tools, and also we use some visualization tools to see the visual, to visualize the data at the end of the process. So mainly it's QGIS Yeah, thank you. For the first question was about how the story is being like duplicated or published by other media. Info Congo, it's true we are an online regional platform, but journalists, most of the journalists working or publishing story, writing story for Info Congo are journalists living in the region, so different country, and they have connection with local media. So sometimes our story are republished by local media. It can be newspaper or online media. And in terms of international audiences, recently during the rainforest investigation year fellowship last year, we did the collaboration. So the answer will be linked to the second question you have. We did a collaboration with El País about palm oil plantation and like a century palm oil plantation in DRC called PHC. So my colleague for the Rainforest Investigation Network, working with El País, Gloria Palares, she was in DRC and my topic was on palm oil plantation and agro-industry plantation. So we partnered together to work on this investigation, from the field trip to online research to find who are the person financing the company and so on. And at the end, we found that European development company has put a lot of money in a dying company in DRC remote area. And at the same time, that company called PHC was polluting the environment because they destroy chemical products around communities area. So this is one of the collaboration we did last year at Info Congo. So the story was published by Info Congo and also El País and published in Pulitzer Center website. So in terms of tips or in terms of what we learned from the collaboration, I think collaboration is what we need now. I'm not the first person to say it. All the journalists now, all our fellow colleagues are speaking about collaboration today. Even in the newsroom, me as journalist, even as data journalist, it's difficult to have all the skills a GIS specialist will have. I can have the idea, I can have the aim of my report, I can even collect some data, but when it comes to analyze the data, I need my colleague, which is GIS specialist. I need my colleague, maybe, which is who know how to take good pictures for the story. I also need fixers. I also need partners from the field, people who know the area, who know the language of indigenous communities, who know how to get in touch with the communities and sources. So this is at the newsroom level. Now, out of the newsroom, we need to collaborate to have a bigger audience for our story. For the Converge story, for example, a colleague owning a newspaper republished it. Another colleague another colleague owning a online platform called the Museba Project also published the story, and it helped us to reach a more bigger audience. And I think reaching this audience, we could not achieve this if I was working alone, if I was not collaborating with all these colleagues. So is to be really open with colleagues, to look for opportunities of collaboration and be open on what I can provide in this collaboration and what I'm looking for from my colleagues. This is what I can share as input regarding your question. Thank you. Thank you. What really helped me working with communities, I would say, is the network and experience with communities, because for about 6 years or 5 to 6 years, I'm investigating this topic. So I'm in touch and I'm really connected to indigenous communities network. So when I have a new topic or a new investigation, I get in touch with the leaders of the indigenous communities group who introduce me to the specific community I would like to visit. And other thing I used to do is to go on field with one fixer who knows the member of the community, or who know even one person in the community, to have the connection. And I also go with somebody who can translate if we need translation from the local languages, from the indigenous community language, maybe to French or English. So I have this type of profile of people I'm working with. So when I go on field with all this, so the community know that, okay, this is a journalist, this is somebody we can trust, because the introduction will be made when we'll be on field, or maybe a few days before, since they have their field, they have their farm activities and so on, for them to be there or to reach them in their farm. So when we are together, the person who know them, or my fixer, he will make the introduction, and we'll try to make them feel comfortable, knowing that, okay, I'm not here to expose them. They are free to say, I will speak but not put my name, or I will speak openly. So we try to explain everything and say, okay, we are here to take all the info, to share your experience, your daily life experience. So when we do that, they are really open, and they share with us information. And after the publication of story, also we try to get in touch with one of their leaders to say, okay, hi, this is the story you publish, this is your picture in the story, this is, so we try to let them know that this is the first work we did with you, and so that the next time there will be maybe the open door for the other community for us. So this is how we proceed. Thank you. Our aim is not to show to government, like to orient, to tell the government what to do. Our aim is to report on the impact of bad forest governance. Because before giving a land to a company, indigenous community or communities living in one area should be informed. And in this particular case, community were not informed. It was like something they are obliged to accept. They just discovered that somebody got legal authorization to work. Even if it was not really legal, the company was claiming that we are doing a legal activity, and communities do not know, sometimes they do not know their rights. So it's to inform government that, okay, this is the impact of your decision on people, on people who do not have a lot of power. And these are the people profiting or gaining from this illegal situation. So this is our aim. Now the government will analyze and see what they are doing as wrong, and know how to help community, or how to have more efficient decision when they are governing the country, when they are working on forest governance issue, how to govern, how to protect, how to respect the engagement they took at the international level to save forests, to save community rights, to have a good forest governance policy in place. This particular area used to be rainforest area, because just around the area you have a national park, and in that national park you have elephants, you have a lot of endangered species recognized by the international organization. And the area used to be area that men like former European company, big European company, clear or cut the main species in the area. So they work in the area like about 20 years, and now they still forest, because elephants still depend on that forest. Indigenous communities still depend on that forest. They have their species they use for their medicine and so on. So now it's not like they have exploited some main resources, but we still have good resources, good forest resources in the area. So people are still depending on, people and environment and species are still depending on that forest for their daily life. So the idea or the opportunity to convert into palm oil plantation is not like something that should happen now, or that something that should happen, because the forest is still important for community living around and so on. And you know that when it will be palm oil plantation, indigenous community who used to take their medicine in that forest will no more have their medicines, because when you speak with indigenous community, they will tell you that forest our hospital, is our hospital, is our market, is our place, we do everything. So if you clear the forest and put palm oil plantation, they will not be, they will not have a lot of resources for their daily life. And you see in the report also for the species like elephant, if they used to have forests where they take everything, they now have a palm oil plantation, it will not be the same. So, but it's a trend in Cameroon and in the whole Congo Basin region. Former forest management unit being converted into plantation, like it happened in Asia. It's true that it's a real challenge, because sometimes we will want to focus on climate crisis and so on, but we try to give communities, to raise the voice of communities, because when you discuss with communities and you see how cutting forests, how they are impacted by the climate change now, they are suffering by all this bad governance in terms of forest management. You know that it's not just about telling a climate story, telling an environmental story. It's about daily life. It's about human story. It's about how communities are impacted, how communities are suffering. And this is how we try to balance, to make sure that, okay, even if it's a complex story, even if it looks like something more political or financial issue, who are the people suffering from this thing going on? We try to remember to stay focused on people impacted by the problem, the situation, to have a more human life story telling an environmental problem. Yeah, this is how we try to manage. Thank you very much.